It's the late 1990s. Arcades have begun to irreversibly decline, with machines increasingly based on chipsets licensed from game console manufacturers. Research and development money has fled to that market, with gamers staying home in the comfort of their living room or basement. Arcade game manufacturers are trying to rekindle the market using what are called super deluxe cabinets. These games are meant to offer a larger-than-life experience, often resembling a carnival ride more than a game. Final Furlong, Rapid River, Downhill Bikers, Time Crisis 2, and Panic Park, just to name a few. The arcade market never bounced back, with modern arcades packed to the brim with redemption games designed to fleece kids and adults alike. Arcades are now more of a pipeline to gambling addiction, through the innocuous but powerful temptation of bulk import stuffed toys exchanged for an eye-watering number of paper tickets. This isn't to say super deluxe games have no historical value, far from it. By their very nature, they usually didn't get home console ports. Due to coming out at the tail end of accelerated 3D being a Silicon Wild West, they're also extremely hard to emulate. All of the titles above have something in common. They all run on Namco's System 23 board, or variants of it. Progress has been slow, and over the years, people have demanded to know why. Let's talk about it. Then, let's take a look at an emulation first. Panic Park, booting, running, and being mostly playable in MAME. I'm the Mog Miner, and this is Panic at the Park. A lot of people these days are more familiar with console games, but less familiar with a 4:3 aspect ratio, apparently. Understandably so. People in their 20s grew up with disc-based consoles and widescreen TVs. By extension, folks are probably more familiar with emulating console games too. Games were plentiful for a given platform. From the opposite side of the user-developer interaction, game consoles can be a challenge when writing an emulator always, but again, games were plentiful and flash cartridges are a dime a dozen. This means one thing: test cases. That's something that Namco System 23 does not have. It's a bit light this week, and every week since somebody first took a stab at adding it to MAME. System 23 is in fact an entire family of boards, each with subtle differences. Here's how it breaks down. System 22.5, or Gorgon? No. Gorgon takes System 22, home of Ridge Racer.
Game is powered by Namco. It's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer! Remember that one?
Adds a 133 MHz MIPS CPU, and upgrades the 3D hardware. Only 2 games ran on this board. System 23 loses the sprites and bumps the CPU speed to 166 MHz. It has twice as many games, 4. Super System 23's upgrades are still unknown, and of the luxurious 6 games released, only one of them goes in-game right now. System 23 Evolution 2 ups the CPU speed to 200 MHz, but is equally unknown. It has just 1 game released on it, Crisis Zone. That's a bit of a problem. To quote Dog from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, on the scale of things, you might say it's the Mount Everest of problems. The reason why it's such a major problem is that educated guesses can only go so far. Game consoles, with their enormous library, have countless references from different authors. 13 games, 12 dumped, all from the same developer, just leaves you lost and confused. Only having 6 games that even run is when despair sets in. A bit over a year ago, I posted a work-in-progress video about the System 23 driver in MAME. Life, unfortunately, promptly got away from me. 6 years of helping develop Managed Democracy Simulator took its toll, and a change of game studios to a cushier job, but with a nearly 4-hour-a-day commute, took some getting used to. As I joked a couple of years ago, since joining the game industry in mid-2005, I've found that my motivation to work on MAME tends to increase proportionally to my day job workload. And so it is once again. Debuting in 1997, Panic Park was a predecessor to microgame compilations like WarioWare, and it pitted players not head-to-head, but side-to-side, controlling 2 levers with identical ranges of motion, and identical paths. All of the games have both players vying to try to move into their opponent's physical space. Elbows and shoulder checking aren't at all uncommon when a machine makes its way to the annual Arcade Enthusiast Expo, California Extreme. It's one of the only games that I can confirm causes violence. Seriously, look at these dudes go at it. There are 3 dudes holding the cabinet in place. Chill out, guys, we're all friends here. You're not trying to steal the machine, are you? This sort of thing is probably why there's a long-standing rumor that due to shoulder injuries, Panic Park was banned in the USA. As far as I can tell, it's completely apocryphal, but it's plain to see how that sort of a rumor would have gotten started. This past weekend, I took a look at Panic Park, and after 2 days of effort, it finally goes in-game. It's very nearly playable. There are a ton of graphical issues, from no lighting to no alpha blending, to a variety of issues with how triangles are depth sorted. Only the last one, however, is a significant blocker. As you'll see, I end up hitting some invisible obstacles, and my assumption is that they're sorting behind the level geometry when they shouldn't be. I'm going to avoid going into even more tech detail for now. That's a job for much later, when System 23 is finally done and we can all celebrate. Without further ado, let's check out the MAME work-in-progress state of Panic Park. Not bad. Not bad, but not yet very good either. Nevertheless, having an additional test case is incredibly valuable. I've been working on a graphical debugger for System 23, and that should end up helping. That about wraps it up for this short one. Stay tuned for the what, when, and who of UltraHLE, featuring interviews with Zophar of Zophar's Domain, Mike Tedder, the original author of Project Unreality, a long-dead Nintendo 64 emulator, and even one of the original 2 authors of that revolutionary but short-lived Nintendo 64 emulator. It's about time to sign off again. Feel free to like, subscribe, and have some Taco Bell. I think that's what they say. I have a Patreon in case you want to help keep me caffeinated or defray the cost of my Adobe Animate subscription, but there's no expectation of that. This economy is really mean to everybody. As always, I'm the Mog Miner. Stay hydrated, tell someone you love them, and be the person that Mr. Rogers knew you could be. Ciao. As far as I can tell, it's completely apocryphal. As far as I can tell, it's a big fat lie. No.